this is a mid-year check-in for reading books. I've read 93 as of this morning that this is being posted. And I've got a really good range of books that I loved, hated, and a lot that were just mid. And I'm going to go through the ones that I loved and hated. I'm not going to go through all of them because if I went through every single 5-star and like 2-star, we'd be here a long time. So I'm going to go through the top ones I loved and the top ones I hated. It's important to note that this is my opinion and to not go and like hate on any authors or like tag them in anything, etc. If it's under the books that I hate / dislike. Hates, well, some of them I did hate. We'll get into it. Let's start with the ones I liked because there's more of those. I loved books Iced Coffee and A Side of Dragons, which is a sapphic romantasy graphic novel. I received the ARC for this and it was just so, like, the illustration was stunning, the story was beautiful, it was just such a feel good. I haven't stopped thinking about it since I read it, so I love that. Love at First Fright by my lovely friend Nadia El Fassi. Yeah, this is also like the second book on here. There's 2 books on this list that I loved of like paranormal romance. So yeah, I love this one. Again, it's one that it's like a lot of books that you read that are mid, you're just like, you just forget about it / what it was even about if someone asked you to recall it. And these are the books where I'm like, I could tell you verbatim front to back what that book, like what happened in the book. Like that's how I loved it, and I read it months ago and I would be able to tell you in 3 years the exact same thing. I've got really bad hay fever, so don't mind me. This one I think honestly might be my favourite by the end of the year. Like, this one shifted something in me. The Phoenix Pencil Company. Don't even get me started. This is the best way to describe it, is kind of like, it's such a normal, like, contemporary lit book, and yet there's like a fantasy sci-fi twist to it, more fantasy than sci-fi, I would say, and it's done so well. The merge of the genres is so subtle. Like, it's not heavy on the fantasy, so I don't know, I think it takes extreme fucking talent to be able to merge genres like that so subtly and like have neither one overpower. It's also queer, and it's also about immigrant stories, which, as you know, if you don't, you do now. My debut novel was about a Greek immigrant. Your girl, I mean, it wasn't about me, but family, but you know. So yeah, it just stayed with me. There's just something about it that was so beautiful. Then I read Heart the Lover. I think this was way better than Writers and Lovers, in my opinion. Made me cry. So grab your tissues. The second paranormal romance that I read and loved, well, this was actually the first one I read, but Ghost of a Chance. Oh, stunning, just absolutely stunning. I hated the first 30%, something like that, or 10 or 30%, and the minute that percentage was over, it turned into the best book ever. Interesting how that can happen, because it was this close. I don't DNF, and this is why. if you get it, you get it. Because I know that this would have been in my least fave pile in that first 10 to 30%. Another book that has absolutely stayed with me is Ministry of Time, which is fantasy sci-fi. The best way to describe it is like government officials. It's in the title that there's something to do with time travel. But there's the hugest subplot of romance that you just don't see coming. And I usually really don't like that. And 90% of the time when there is a subplot of romance, it's marketed as a romance and it's very mismarketed, misleading. So this was the opposite. This was like perfect genre blend. Like, it's not a romantasy by any means. It really is a subplot, but it's so fun. It's so interesting. The world building is consistent. It's easy to follow, and it's still a chunk of a book, but it's just so, it was such a page turner. Then we have Hello Beautiful. I don't even want to talk about this book because it's if you think Heart the Lover will make you cry, this book will make you want to jump out your window because it's so heartbreaking and sad. And I think similarly to Heart the Lover, and actually the next book, the last book on this list I'm going to talk about, the ending you kind of foresee. It's not a shock, but it still hurts. You're like, oh, I know what's about to happen. And then it happens and you're like, ah. So the last one is So People Know It's Me, which I literally read a week ago in one sitting at an airport. Actually, I read Phoenix Pencil Company on a plane. Like, are we seeing the themes here? Yeah, I was skeptical about putting this one on here because the author uses slurs to like enhance the characters, because it's not necessarily his viewpoints, it's others' viewpoints, but he's surrounded by that, so he uses those slurs. And he only does it, I think, once or twice in one sentence. I am a strong believer. I'm currently reading an Atesha Moshfegh, so, and if you're new here, I fucking hate Atessa. I can't stand her fucking books. I keep trying to give this bitch a try. I can't fucking get my head around why people like this fucking bitch. I just can't. One of her books, it was a short book, can't remember which one. All it is, front to back, is slurs. And like, what are we doing here? There are other ways. I'm a strong believer that there are other ways. Unless you are of those backgrounds that belong, that those slurs that you can reclaim. Like, if I'm queer, I feel like I could write a character that says slurs in a way that is like obviously meant to be criticized. If you're straight and white, why are we using queer and especially the N-word? Okay, so sorry, this is Atesha Moshfegh. Okay, I'm a strong believer that we can use literature without slurs, heavy on the without slurs, to depict a character as racist, homophobic, etc. List goes on. If you are a good writer, you don't need slurs. I stand on that hill. I will die on that hill. So I'm aware that So People Know It's Me did that once. I think using it once is still iffy. I think Atesha Moshfegh using it front to back is an excuse to use slurs. I just think you're a bad writer at that point. So People Know It's Me was such, let's put that to the side for a second, because if you put it to the side with Atesha's book, it's still a fucking awful book. But So People Know It's Me is, aside from that fucking soul destroying. It's so sad. Again, you know exactly where it's gonna fucking go, but it still breaks your heart every single time. And aside from that, it was so well written, and genuinely, like, I teared up in Glasgow airport. Like, I was crying in Glasgow airport reading this book. So it's one of my faves of the year, but it will never be able to reach like top 5, because I will stand and die on the hill that you don't need to use slurs to depict a character as X, Y, or Z. I have written books, okay? Books that aren't out yet. When I was 16, 18, doesn't matter how good they were or not, no one will ever know. But I was always able to depict characters as racist or homophobic or whatever without using slurs. The fact that that became a thing, crazy. Again, if you're from those backgrounds, I feel like that's different. For example, if you watched the recent show called Tiptoe, I hated the show. Sorry, I did. It's not my cup of tea. Messages are very important. I believe it's literally written by queer people. The queer person in the show is played by a queer person, famously queer person. And I didn't watch it beginning to end. I just watched parts because I just couldn't. I believe slurs are used, but again, it's by a queer person. Go ahead and reclaim, baby girl. Go ahead and reclaim. Go ahead and reclaim. Someone once got into beef with me because I posted about my Tasha Moshfegh hate, especially for that book where she used slurs, and someone was like, it's literature, like she can do. And then they also tried to say she was like Persian, so that doesn't make her white. Are we fucking stupid up in here? I fear the answer is yes. Anyways, rant over, because this is not what this is meant to be at all. But with that energy, let's go into my least faves. We started off strong with The Hypocrite. I had this for like 2 years before I read it. It was one of the very first arcs that I got sent in my career online reading books. I feel it was a hit or a miss, and it missed. It reminded me of that fucking movie with Olivia Colman, where she's like on an island and something to do with a missing daughter. I can't remember. I watched it so long ago. Proof that if it's mid, you just forget. And it reminded me of that in the way that it was written. The story is about a daughter and a father who have a very mismatched relationship because I believe her parents were divorced, or he kept cheating on her mum. It was a short book. Honestly, the entire time I was like, are these two gonna fuck? What's going on here? Are they in a relationship? Because it was written in a way that genuinely was like, these two are in love with each other. Like, there's sexual tension here. It's not just like trauma. It's like there's some form of like romantic heartbreak, which was not intentional, I do not think at all. But that's why it made me feel uncomfortable, because it wasn't part of the story. So I was like, this is just not well written, in my opinion, that it depicted the kind of relationship this person wanted to depict. I love when I'm eloquent. Okay, next, I can't believe I'm even putting this here, but I had to. I love Ali Hazelwood. I will die on that hill. However, since the news came out that she has allowed Colleen Hoover to fucking produce Love Theoretically, bitch, don't get me fucking started. I feel more confident in my dislike of this particular book. Let me say I'm currently reading an Ali Hazelwood right now, and I'm loving it. Okay. What's the pink book? This is proof again. When it's mid, you forget. Every book of hers I love, I'm like, this is what happened. Ali Hazelwood pink book. That was the only book until now that I fucking did not like at all. Love on the Brain. Hated Love on the Brain. Not Checkmate. I like Checkmate. That was really cute. Yeah, Love on the Brain, couldn't stand that. But the thing is when you write like 20 books in like 3 years, there's gonna be 2 I dislike, and that's totally fine, and it's not a reflection of her as an author because I've liked 18 of those books. You know what I'm saying? So this is not Ali Hazelwood hate. Don't come for me. I love that bitch. But I did not like Bound, and I wanted to love it. I did. I am like, because I listen to audiobooks all the time. The audiobook I'm listening to right now is Below Zero by Ali Hazelwood. I'm halfway through. I really, really like it. I loved her, I think it was her first ever like audiobook only. It's now out as a paperback, which I still need to get. What was that fucking called? I can tell you everything that happens, but I can't tell you the fucking title. Ali Hazelwood gamer book. Also, my hair's greasy because 2 can play. Well, it's not greasy, it's covered in coconut oil. Yeah, so Bound. So I love 2 can play. Like, genuinely, it's very easy for me to listen to a bit of an audiobook and then come to it like 2 weeks later. This one I had to listen to in like nearly one whole sitting. I loved 2 can play. So when Bound came out, I was like, oh my god, yes, we're back with the audiobook only. Like, give it to me. Maybe don't give it to me. In fact, you shouldn't have given it to me. The concept, like the plot line of this book was brill. And I'm not saying this was her writing that let it down. However, I just feel like this book had such a disconnect. I did not feel any chemistry between the 2 main characters at all. And it was almost like it felt very forced. Now, I know she's coming out with another one. I believe it's called Unbound. Am I going to listen to it and look forward to it? Yes, I am. Okay? Yes, I am. Because I have faith in Miss Hazelwood. Is it waning with the current news? It is. It's waning. But I will listen. I will read. I will listen. Okay. Okay. End of conversation. Are we happy? Okay. I then read I've read so many non-fics. I always read non-fic. I love non-fic. I read a lot of self-care books. I read a fair amount because a lot of them are the fucking same. And one of those I didn't really like was Small Moves, Big Life. And it was just like, I feel like these people like have really like, they have hardships and then they get through them and people see them as really strong. And then someone sits them down and is like, you should write a self-care book because of how you got through it. And I'm just like, we need to stop telling people to write books just because they experience something. Doesn't mean they're writers, and it also doesn't mean that the book will be good, even if they're good writers. Okay? Point blank period. Yeah, and I just feel like there's even doctors. I'm so sorry. There are books by doctors that are like about mental health that I read even years ago, and I remember distinctly how much I hated them because here's my main beef with books like this. These books are created for people who genuinely have zero self-care in their lives, and that's not me. So fair enough that I am not the target audience. Totally fair. However, we need to start writing books for people who are fully fucking aware of themselves, their trauma, their life. They have some level of self-care and self-love. And we stop it there and we go, how can we level up? Instead of drink a tea. Set boundaries. Bitch, I set boundaries. What next? What next? My therapist follows me, so she's probably going to see us and go, more work to do. So yeah, that's I have big beef. We have big beef. Beef is big. The beef is big, guys. Then, this was such a letdown. Midnight Timetable. I love... Specifically, I love translated fic. Like, if you know me, you know I love my translated fic. I am that fucking bitch. Translated fic. Mia? Is she in the room? Midnight Timetable is supposed to be quite thrillery, I guess. And it's very similar to a book that I read like a year ago called Atavists by Lydia Millett, which I hated. And I love books that have kind of nowhere to go. I love books that are kind of like stoner, like nothing happens in that fucking book. Is it one of my favorite books of all time? Yes. Like Lady Bird, the movie, nothing really happens. Do I love it? Is it one of my favorites of all time? Yes. So that's not the issue. These are short books with kind of like interlinked or separate stories, because atavists in this one are a little bit different. And nothing happens, but like genuinely nothing, in a bad way. Last night I watched Civil War, the 2024 movie. And it's like that. Nothing. There's nothing going on. What are we fucking talking about? This one particularly was less so like Atavist, in the sense that Atavist bored me, and this one more so was just harder to follow, which could be on the translator's end. So let's keep that there as a possibility. Otherwise, it just wasn't enjoyable to read. And like, I disagree with people who say that every book needs to be enjoyed. No, every book does need to be enjoyed. Otherwise, you're a 1-star. It doesn't matter how good you've written it. I don't care. I don't give a fuck about your qualifications. I don't care if everybody loves it. I don't care if I don't enjoy the read. It's a 1-star. Point blank period. So yeah, didn't love that. And the most recent disappointment, which I read literally again this week, was Without a Clue. Look at this fucking cover, okay? Look at this cover. Is this a romance book to you? It is. You said yes. False. It's a murder mystery, except it's not a murder mystery. Spoilers ahead. The one that is murdered isn't murdered, which is revealed in the first few pages, and then it's revealed a page later he was murdered, and then at the end it's revealed he wasn't murdered. Was that painful for you? Because it was painful to read, and I hate, my biggest fucking pet peeve is when it's sold and marketed as so misleading as like a romance book, when it's not. It's a subplot. It's not even the main plot. If it's not in the main plot, it's not the main genre. Understand? Comprende? Thank you. I, in general, feel like if I read this knowing it was fully not a romance and just a murder mystery, because I knew that there was an element of that, obviously, because this was sent to me as an ARC also, I still wouldn't have enjoyed it. It was badly written. Sorry, it was. It reminded me heavily of this other book I hated, which was identical. Actually, 2 books I hated, which were identical, badly written, and mismarketed. Like, is the mismarketing aside, it's so badly written, I just can't enjoy it. Cheddar Luck next time. don't get me started. And Deadlines and Valentines, and that one was even worse because Valentines was in the fucking title, and that one had no subplot of romance. There was zero romance, 0%. The main character was in a relationship, and that was all. He was barely mentioned. He spoke once. I don't get me started. I hate this genre of, or not even genre, I hate this fucking trend of let's mismarket genres to be romance when they're subplots or not even involved. To sell, because romance sells. And the thing is the reason the mismarketing is so irking when the writing is so bad as is, and I wouldn't enjoy it, is I'm not the target audience for books like that. I love, like, Richard Osman as a person, I love him. His books, I hate. I read one. I have the entire series. I haven't touched them. I kind of refuse to. I may sell them because I don't DNF and I don't know if I can get through any more. Not one, let alone like 5. So where does that put me? I'm not the target audience, so I wouldn't pick this up and I wouldn't give you a bad review if I hadn't picked it up because I thought there was a plot of romance. Because I like cozy thrillers or like cozy mysteries with romance. I like that. When there's no fucking romance, I'm not here for the cozy thriller or mystery by itself. That's not, I just don't like that. So that was my impassioned speech of the mid-year book wrap-up for moi. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. Tell me what you think of the books that I mentioned. If you've read them, if you haven't, are you going to read them? And what have your faves and least faves so far of 2026 been? I hate how quick time goes. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Love you guys so much. I'll see you in another video. Bye.